Junior Lake leading off here in the top of the second inning, and now joining us in the booth is a man I would have to say at this point, certainly, if you had to pick an MVP on this club, it'd be the general manager, Rick Hahn. Rick, welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, the job you, Kenny, and your crew have done this winter has been sensational. And you've got another thing that's to check off right now.
Yeah, we are very enthusiastic about where things sit right now, Hawk. The team looks good. Knock on wood. Herm Schneider's name will not be showing up on my caller ID much more this spring, and we'll get to Kansas City intact and ready to go.
Well, you know, the thing is that when the season was over, the last couple of years were tough. You know, your first year it was fun because you had a first-place club on September 24th. One-game lead over Detroit, and then we just couldn't hold on to it. But then in 13 and 14, not too good, and there one thing. To me, I'm just going to give you my opinion on what I think 50, 100 years from now, and I've said this before, one of the great trades in White Sox history they'll talk about is when you acquired, obviously, El Garcia, gave you direction.
No, I think you're right about that from the standpoint of that was the first step in this process. That was the first move towards putting ourselves in a position where we were younger, more athletic, rebuilding the middle of the order, and also creating some economic flexibility with that move and the Rios move soon thereafter that allowed to go out and get a Jose Abreu.
That's into left field. Cabrera makes the catch and quickly 2 down. Well, you've just made an addition to this ball club for the next 5 years that everybody's going to be very pleased about.
Yeah, we're announcing this afternoon that we've agreed to terms on a 5-year contract extension that includes 2 club options with Adam Eaton. He's now going to be hit the top of the order and setting the tone for us and hopefully playing that premium defense and center field in a White Sox uniform for at least the next 7 seasons. So he's an important piece to what we're building here, and it's great to be able to come to this agreement today.
Was there anything that, I know Jerry probably had to wipe his brow a few times this winter with his handkerchief, but you walked him through it, didn't you? You talked him off the ledge.
We got him through, and I tell you, all this is possible because of the tone that Jerry and Kenny start and set at the top of the organization. They, as we met as a group at the end of the season, talked about where we were as an organization and honestly assessed how many holes we had. The edict coming from Kenny and Jerry was, well, let's be aggressive and try and address as many of those as we can, because we're sitting here with an MVP candidate in Jose Abreu, and we're sitting here with a Cy Young caliber pitcher in Chris Sale. Obviously, we feel real bullish on what Avi Garcia is going to bring to this club, Adam Eaton, Jose Quintana for the next several years. Let's not squander the prime of these guys' career. We've been able to develop this core. We've been able to create some economic flexibility. Now's the time to be aggressive and put us in a position to contend. And that's what we set off to do. And knock on wood, we feel pretty good about where we sit today because of that.
Well, the hardest thing, in my opinion, that the general manager has to do today is to rebuild a bullpen. And you did it.
Bullpens can be so erratic, as you know, and we all suffered over the last couple of years, and we saw the benefit of a dominant bullpen right there in our division with the Royals, who won the pennant, obviously. And so it can be a tricky thing, but we wanted to make sure that in the back end, in David Robertson and Zach Duke, that we were able to add a couple of guys who, despite the volatilities that come with reliever contracts, these were good bets going forward to be able to replicate the success they've had. And it provides some stability back there for Robin and for Coop, and allows guys like Jake Petrichka and Zach Putnam, who benefited from the roles they had to play last year, in the little earlier situations in a ball game where they'd be able to settle in and excel. So, we got some guys in camp that I know you've seen over the last couple of weeks that are going to help us. Guys like Matt Elbers, Jesse Crane, hopefully coming along at some point once the season is underway. Nate Jones not too far behind him. But between these veteran pieces we've added this offseason and some of these kids, we feel like we're in a good space, a good spot right now in terms of the depth of that bullpen and the options we have now.
Well, one of the spinoffs also is those good young arms you've got out there. You're going to give them another year to get ready. to get that experience.
You're absolutely right. That's so important. That's so important that we don't rush anybody, that we don't force guys to come here before they're not ready because of a major league need. Now the guys are going to be here because they forced the issue and they belong here, and that's essential.
And another thing, Rick, there's really nothing that takes the heart out of a baseball team more than having this offense fight to the point where they might gain the lead in the 6th inning or 7th inning, only to see your bullpen squander it. It doesn't appear that that's going to happen all that much this year.
That ball deep into right field, and it's out of here. So the veteran, David Ross, goes the opposite way, and it's a 3-2 ball game.
No, you're absolutely right about the demoralizing nature of a lead blown late, and we're hoping the stronger bullpen not only prevents that, but also a stronger offense gives us a little bit more margin for error to work with and put us in a position where those leads are a little bit greater, hopefully late in the ball game.
They've got some contact men, and now we talked about it at the top of the show. Melky Cabrera is a 2-hitter, is a great table setter for a lot of thunder in the middle of that lineup, and we had so many problems on this ball club with the number 2 spot. Nobody could fill it. You tried a whole number of guys, but you're looking at on-base percentages all under 300. And now all of a sudden you get a quality, bona fide major league table setter in Melky. And that only bodes well for how many runs Abreu and LaRoche are going to drive in, as well as Garcia.
Yeah, the Melky piece was an important one. It came later in the process, obviously, after the winter meetings. But it was every bit as important as all the ones we did prior to that, because you're absolutely right. Adam did a tremendous job setting the table for us at the top, but I believe the OBP out of the second hole last year was about 287 or something like that, which is, it's remarkable that Jose was able to drive in as many as he did, given the limited opportunities that were being produced by the batting spot right in front of him. Obviously, the switch hitting is a nice benefit to us, gives you a different look, and this is a guy with, as you pointed out, very good bat-to-ball skills.
That's high into right field. Ivy back on the back. He's there, hauls it in. Well, this is a commercial-free broadcast, so we'll just stay a little bit longer. Well, one thing, I'll tell you what, I was going to cut back my schedule to about 120, 125 games this year, and then I picked up the paper, and I got on my iPad, actually, and saw where you got Melky Cabrera, and Alice and I were having breakfast. And then having dinner that night, I was thinking, and I told us, honey, we're not going to cut back. I said, this is going to be fun. We're going to go 100. We're going to go 174 this year.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, 162 in the season, 12 in the postseason. Because this is going to be a fun thing. But the thing is, we were just touched on it before you came in. This is probably, in my 30 years here, this is the best outfield we've ever had. They can all run, they can all throw, they're all accurate, they can all catch the ball, and the biggest thing is they're going to stop guys from going from first to third.
That is big. That is big, being able to not give up that extra base and put that added pressure on the pitcher. And you're right. As you pointed out, starting with Avi, it was important to us to get more athletic all around the diamond, but especially in the outfield. I mean, shoot, you've seen as well as I have the effect that